I recently saw a weight loss video from Dr. Eric Berg. Obviously, loads of weight loss videos float around the internet, so why am I responding to this one? Because there was so much that I disagreed with in such a short space of time. And some of the things that I disagree with relate to questions that I receive on a really regular basis. I'm going to pluck the bits that I disagree with for the sake of open discussion.
Hey guys, Dr. Berg here. In this video, I want to shed some light on this myth called the eat less and lose weight myth, all right?
Honestly, I love discussions about this. Stuff is complex, and to disregard it completely as a myth requires some really strong evidence.
First of all, it's been totally proven that this does not work, okay? What happens when you reduce your calories, your body will automatically compensate by slowing the metabolism down.
Although partially true, I don't think this is a fair way to describe what happens to your metabolism when you lose weight. Your basal metabolic rate will decrease as your weight decreases, but part of this is just to be expected. If you weigh less, your body will require fewer calories to maintain its weight than if you weighed more. Now, there is the possibility of an additional component of metabolic downregulation called adaptive thermogenesis. What this means is rather than your metabolic rate decreasing proportionately to how much weight you lose, it decreases to a greater extent. Now, this isn't ideal, but it happens in tandem with weight loss. Saying that your metabolism compensates by slowing down is perfectly fair. Saying that weight loss is impossible? Not so much.
There are things that you read on the internet, like one person was saying, there's no such thing as bad food. It's just calories. Too many calories. Now, there is such thing as bad food. Probably the people that are telling you that are the people that are making sodas and donuts, and they're saying there's no such thing as bad junk food, just eat it in moderation. That is another myth. There are bad foods.
On the face of it, I am sure a lot of people would agree with what he says. Now, obviously, I can't speak on behalf of everyone, but I personally don't class foods as good and bad. I also don't make sodas or donuts, in case anyone was unsure. Firstly, strictly from a weight loss perspective, you can of course still lose weight when eating donuts or drinking soda. What foods can you absolutely not eat any of if your goal is to lose weight? The reason a lot of people won't refer to foods as good and bad is because this is known as dichotomous or black and white thinking. Dichotomous thinking is an overly simplistic categorization where people view foods as good and bad, healthy or unhealthy. It has been proposed that this type of rigid thought process could be associated with more frequent and more severe binge eating episodes, higher BMI scores, and a reduced likelihood of successful long-term weight loss maintenance. That is why people don't like the terms good and bad.
If you cut calories, you do not have a dramatic effect on the fat cell. If you cut sugar, you'll cut insulin, that you will have an effect on the fat cell. So the fat cell is regulated by insulin. If you lower insulin by cutting sugar out, you will lose weight. Okay, so we want to starve your body not of calories, but of the sugar to drop the insulin, which forces your body to burn fat.
Okay, so cut sugar, insulin goes down, body fat decreases. Got it. The thing is, we have direct research which tests this hypothesis. One trial compared a low sugar to a high sugar intake within the context of a calorie-controlled diet. In the low sugar condition, just 4% of their total calories came from sucrose, whereas in the high sugar condition, 43% of their calories came from sucrose. And the result? The same weight loss despite the high sugar content. You cannot expect weight loss if you reduce your sugar intake, but do not reduce your intake of calories.
Just to summarize, you need to lower insulin by lowering sugar to be able to really tap into the fat.
High versus low sugar intakes in controlled feeding trials, when matched for calories, appear to have no differences in terms of weight loss. Short-term controlled feeding trials show that you can reduce insulin to a greater extent, which does not necessarily correlate with greater reductions in body fat. And, when matched for calories and protein, low-carb diets don't seem to result in greater losses of body fat when compared to low-fat diets, which would oppose the idea that regulating insulin is the primary mechanism of fat loss. Now, to clarify, I'm obviously not saying that people should go mad for sugar and motorboat their face in a bag of it. But the idea that weight loss can be achieved by lowering sugar intake without a reduction in calorie intake as well just isn't supported by research. And the idea that if you want to lose weight, you should focus on lowering insulin without lowering calorie intake isn't really supported by research either. As always, I am happy to change my mind if provided with adequate evidence. So if you disagree, feel free to chime in.